Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to our final episode of the Board Preparation Strategy series. Today's Instagram Live event focuses on English revision strategy for CBSE Class 10 board exams. Just give us a couple of minutes and we'll be starting the session. As students gear up for their board exams, it is important to remember that English is a subject that can significantly boost their overall percentage. With only 12 days left until the exam date on 27th February, we understand that the students may be feeling the pressure to perform their best. However, with the right revision strategies and tips, they can tackle the English exam with confidence and score to their full potential. We are excited to have Ms. Neena Yadav as our expert speaker for today's session. With over 10 years of teaching experience, Ms. Yadav will be sharing practical strategies and techniques that students can incorporate in their revision process leading to the final English exam. She will also guide the students on how to make the most of the last few days and help us in how to write the exam in the best way possible in terms of presentation, how to revise the key concepts, how to go about the previous year question papers so that the students can earn maximum marks. So whether you are feeling overwhelmed or simply want to fine tune your preparation, this session will offer you valuable insights and techniques to help you to achieve your goals. So get ready to ace your CBSE Class 10 board exam. Ms. Neena, we are delighted to have you here today. Before we dive into the session, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Good afternoon. My name is Neena Yadav, as it has been told very many times, and I am an English teacher by profession, and I have been teaching in various public schools since my husband is in a transferable job. So we keep changing cities, but yeah, one thing's permanent, that I've always been an English teacher, and by default, I fell into English. I was into textiles majorly. I did my MSc in textiles, but they say that destiny finds its own ways. And because English was a passion from school time, so a stage came in my life where I had to make a choice. So English was a very natural choice. And then I did my majors again in another subject, and that was English. And I've never regretted the way things been. The language has given me so much. I literally flower into this language. That is why I felt that this session, I could really give children and students that insight, which is very important, to be in love with the language or the subject or whatever task that is on hand.
That is a very interesting introduction. And yes, as you said that like destiny makes you fall or makes things fall into their places. So so let's just dive into the discussion regarding the English revision strategy. The students have just 12 days to go for the English exam. So how do you, or what do you suggest? How should they cover their English literature chapters while they are, for some, it might be the last or the penultimate revision that they would be doing in terms of the chapters. So what all things do they need to keep in mind when they are going through the chapters?
As far as I'm concerned, I feel like it's a very volatile and a large group. So I will try to give little broad strategy plus very important things that I feel that these students need to spruce up in these last days. Now, be it 12 days or 20, the first thing that I want every student, though it's tough, to go stress-free. Because stress is the solution to nothing. In fact, it is like a disaster can that you're opening. So be stress-free. Remember that whatever 10 days are there, the only direction that you have to move towards is forward. So keep multiplying your efforts, whatever time is there. Have a very positive outlook. Develop a discipline in these 10 days also. It's never too late for anything good. So be disciplined in the sense, take a good 6 hours sleep. Make a timetable. Your waking up, your study time, the kind of breaks that you take, but make your breaks also quality breaks. They shouldn't be where you sit on a mobile with the game or just you go off to sleep. No, make these breaks very productive. Go into a silent mode. Let your subconscious mind revise, give you tips, make you remember what you've forgotten. Make a note. So these breaks go off the subject, but in a creative way, be connected to it. Because that is what English is all about. Like if you're thinking, you wrote in your answer, it was very good. When you're going into your zone, your break, oh, I can write, it was superb, it was exemplary. So that kind of input is when you're taking a break. Work on that. Yeah. And as everyone would say, eat wholesome meals, avoid junk food, have water, have buttermilk, don't be on aerated drinks, because what your body feeds, your mind gives out. So feed it well, feed it with positivity, food, liquid, whatever is good. Let's put our best foot forward, is what I want to say. That's said and done for parents also. Please, this is not the time to lament at the students. Be there with a guiding hand, with the support. That every student, he might be aggressive or whatever, they are young children, but you have to be there and make them feel that it's a very solid support they have behind. And now, after all these positives, one most important thing, please take the examiner to be a person who is on your side. When I check copies, board copies, I'm always on the student side. I'm more than willing to pour my basket of marks on the copy. Just remember that. The examiner is on your side. Only you have to be on your side. That is, you have to put your best efforts. It is a very proud moment for an examiner when he's checking to give an A+. If I have my way, all my copies would get A+. So treat the examiner to be a guest at your place. When a guest comes, how well you receive them. You arrange the house well, you behave in a very civilized manner. So all that hospitality, your copy is going to convey to the examiner. How you present your work, how beautifully you space your answers, how you draw boxes, how you number well. So you are psychologically taking him, making him more peaceful while he's on your copy. So that much every student, these basics they can do. Present your work well, number them well, do it chronologically. I mean, there can be one or two here and there with their children after. But that much presentation a child should keep in mind. Okay, so that was basically about the paraphernalia, outside things. Now we'll come to the main thing. Okay, be enthusiastic. First, I will go section wise. First, I'll tell how the preparation for these 10 days would be. Then I will go to the war zone when they're sitting with the paper and attempting. Fine. So, when it comes to the English paper will have 3 sections: literature, B section, grammar and writing, and A reading section, B section, grammar and writing, and C literature. And it is 20, 20, and 40. So literature carries more marks, 40. And mind you, it's a very scoring section. A student can score 40 on 40 in literature. So make the most of it. Now, every day, whatever 10 days that are left, reading is very important. I would, ma'am, just a sec, I'll have a sip of water.
Yeah, sure, please.
Yes. Space out your chapters. Read them. It is very important. Thorough reading. And maybe 2 chapters each day and a poem. Because there are 20 28 chapters. So I presume that students have already read few chapters. Yeah, they must be in the middle or towards the end. So when you're reading a chapter, always make a note, title, author, main characters. For main characters, certain adjectives, negative, positive, hardworking, generous, these kind of adjectives you should keep ready. Then the basic theme of the chapter, what is the idea? And all this can be done. A student can make poem chart, tuck, tuck, tuck. Okay, top title and author, and below you can keep writing. These are the characters, these are the adjectives that I can associate. And per chapter, 2 comprehensive questions. 2 comprehensive questions, I'll explain why. Because when you do 2 comprehensive questions, you majorly cover the full chapter. Okay, I'll give you one little example. Children will connect with it. Like 2 stories about flying, there is a chapter. In that, there is a little fledgling who's not willing to fly. So the moment you prepare a question, contrast the attitude of the other fledgling to the one who did not take the first flight. So a student will write the full scene around it. How the others were proactive, they listened to their parents, they took the plunge, they fought their fear, and the wings served them. Now they could fly, they could enjoy. Whereas the other one is hungry, dejected, demoralized, depressed, and he's working on the full story. So do 2 comprehensive questions per chapter. Then everything else is within the chapter if a child approaches it. His grammar also can be taken care of. Somewhere find where modals, like grammar will be all about determiners, modals, tenses, prepositions, a subject-verb agreement. All this will be asked in grammar. Every chapter has hordes of these things. So you have to just be a little alert. How may or might or would is used. Yes, how it is verb says and not say. So you can work out your grammar also while you're reading only. So it's a multi-pronged approach. One set of reading is taking care of a lot of departments of the English paper. Yeah, so that's where you can do. Then you have to train your mind to compare chapters so that you can attempt HOTS, higher order thinking, where we're seeing in sample papers, they say this character from this chapter and this character from this chapter, they meet each other. So now what would the exchange be like? So it is entirely a child's imagination. So that kind of practice is also needed, and that fine kind of understanding of the chapter and the character is also needed. That he should work. That is why I say that don't take stress. Enjoy this reading. It's a beautiful journey, and it's a very creative subject. The more you go deep, the better it will start serving you. So don't be in a haste that straight away I'll do these questions from this guide, these I've done. No, read as much as you want to. And from each chapter, make list of few words. That will be your vocabulary from that chapter. You don't need to go outside the text to look for vocabulary. Whatever words are within your text are suffice. Use them in your answers. When you write them, you will go through them day in and day out, and ultimately they'll start clicking, and from your passive vocabulary, they will become part of your active vocabulary. You'll start using them somewhere, and it is very pleasurable. It is a very nice experience. So no stress. Read your chapters well, make notes on each chapter, notes in the sense only theme, summary, characters, certain adjectives. This is the vocabulary that I take from this chapter. These are the grammatical structures. You are reading prepositions while you're reading, so you know where to put on, where to put in, where to put under. So when it comes in grammar, you are in a better space to be able to attempt. All right, so that takes care of your reading. Now, your reading book also contains poems. Now, poems have a little different kind of handling, in the sense you need to know the title and the poet. After that, the poem, if you know, like a story, that this happens, then talk to yourself. But most important, the poetic devices should be on your tips. And poetic devices also, not out of the box kind, simple ones. Alliteration, simile, metaphor, and personification, and few, just the simple ones, maybe symbolism. Teachers must have taught you in school. So just strengthen your concept of these basic 7-8 poetic devices, and you are able to tackle that also. So this is about literature, yeah, and poems. So reading, again I'm saying, and when these 10 days a child is preparing, now see, you're reading, one stand, it is a tripod. One leg is reading, the other leg is literature, the third is grammar and writing. So make a concerted effort for all three. Start lifting all three departments together. Don't do that, I'll do this one, and come to the second. No. Create a perch. When you take all three together, there'll be a space where you will be able to perch yourself. You will be able to sit yourself. And that is how the final preparation, you will come to the end in a very phased manner, in a very consolidated manner. That is what I want. So if you're reading 2 chapters and you're reading poem at the same time for writing skills, you will be attempting 1 letter and 1 analytical writing daily for 10 days. When I say a letter and an analytical writing, you have to keep in mind that there is a format for all these things. And there is a functional vocabulary that has to be followed for these things. And like format, I mean for letter, sender's address, leave a line, date, receiver's address, subject, salutation, body of the letter, subscription. These should be on your tips. And then you should handle the question. For functional language, as far as analytical writing is concerned, you're comparing, you're deciphering a pie chart, a histogram, a line graph. You have to use words like in comparison, in contrast, however, hence, the conclusion can be drawn. So the value of this thing plummeted, the value of this thing rose. So there's certain kind of terminology that fits very well with analytical writing. So that should be on your tips, and then you should start attempting. Again, don't panic, I would say. That is why these concepts will stay if you take them in a peaceful manner. So that takes care of your letter and your analytical, but yes, it doesn't come in a day. It doesn't come by reading 10 letters or 10 analysis. It only comes when you actually take the dip in the water. So you have to write day in and day out. You have to practice this for 10 days. Then comes your grammar. Because you, while reading, you made a conscious effort to look for prepositions or determiners, subject verb agreement. So now grammar, you may do some integrated exercises which are available plenty on net. So do integrated exercises and practice grammar. So in a day, I would say you will have to devote some 2 to 2.5 hours in the remaining days to English. You can study other subject, but definitely solid 2.5 hours, in which some 1 hour will go to reading, some half an hour or 45 minutes will go to writing, and then you have to prepare your reading section. That will be double preparation. Now, reading section, while you're reading your chapter, on the side margins, there are always certain questions that the comprehension check. So keep answering them there and there. So you're preparing for section A reading also that way. Because you're reading, you're taking the question, you're answering it. So make that kind of preparation and devote some 2.5 hours to it. Now, after that, whenever you're practicing writing work, after your letter, draw a neat box in pencil. so that the letter comes as a framed thing. Draw a neat box around your analytical writing. That is, you're adding to your presentation. Don't think on the final day I'll do like this. No, during practice you will do, so that it becomes a natural extension of yourself and you will do it that way. Okay. Writings cannot be improved in a day, but put your best writing or calligraphy forward that day. So train yourself when you're writing your answers, I would say. And yeah, leave lines between questions. And yeah, that is the thing. Then we come to the third section, which is the reading section. Now, reading section comes out very tough at times, because whatever is written, it is very alien. Literature, children know. Writing, they know most of it. It is parallel stuff. But when it comes to reading, you don't know what it will be, whether it will be discursive or it will be argumentative, what kind of passage. So I want a child to be, take it as it comes. Go with the flow. Don't start dissecting. Just read it with a good flow. And even if you're not understanding meanings of words, try to understand contextual meaning. Okay, he is an honest person. I don't know the meaning of honest. I'm giving you an example. And suppose the next sentence says that he never cheats anyone. So I'm coming to the contextual meaning. Oh, so honest must be a positive quality in a person. So learn to rely on that good judgment of yours. Practice like that. You don't need to mug up vocabulary as such. So there would be things that might not come in easy when you're doing a reading section. And so read it with the flow. Generally, questions are always arranged in a chronology. First question, you'll find in the first half the answer. Second. So examiners always are on your side. So they make things as easy as possible. And they make things as difficult as they do, because they have to bring you up to a certain level. So it is for the child's good. So trust yourself. There is every hue of question I'm watching, that the question, there are multiple choice ones also. There are questions where you have to write a sentence also. There are certain things that you have to extract and give the juice of it. So there will be testing, definitely, because you are at class 10 level. Whatever you've learned from class 1 till 10, it is going to be tested on this platform. So just trust yourself. Keep reading. Even if you're not understanding, don't lose heart. Certain things come clear when we keep reading, keep going down. And keep finding your answers side by side. First question, second question, third question. Don't waste time, I would say. So this is how you will fulfill your reading section. Yeah, ma'am.
So, ma'am, do you suggest going through the questions first and then start the reading of the passage, or read the passage once and then come to the questions and then parallelly match them or find the answers?
What I've seen is, once you read the questions at a stretch, by the time you're reading, you forget. It's a muddle over here. And if you read the passage, then you come to the question, though you remember somewhere I've seen, but where it is.
Correct.
So I feel the best approach would be that you read two questions, handle them. The moment you find, go to the next two. So in batches you. And otherwise, it's an open field, to each his own. During practice, whatever is working out for you, that a child can resolve. But practice is needed, because there is a variety in the way the examiner is asking questions. It isn't that it is all statements, it isn't like it is all multiple, it is a combination, very heterogeneous group. So you have to train yourself, you have to practice beforehand, so that you come in sync with the way questions are going to be asked. So that would be about reading section. And now, ma'am, the grammar topics that children have to consciously prepare when they're doing integrated. They'll be like determiners, prepositions, tenses, subject verb agreement, reported speech. I would really stress it is so much into, reported speech you need to master. And yeah, and modals, reported speech and modals, I'm seeing a lot. So to get the finer thing, just practice a lot, I would say, because this is not the time to go into the rules and, you know, this is exclamation. There isn't time for
Hmm.
that. So
Hmm.
just let it come and bombard yourself with lot of questions of integrated where modals and reported speech are tested. And actually, when you're doing your literature reading, through feel you develop. Everywhere you don't need to know whether may will come or might will come or can. Through feel, because you have subjected yourself to so much of reading that unconsciously you start picking up structures. That is why I'm still stressing, don't skip reading of chapters.
Hmm.
Give it time, because its fruit will be longer lasting. Don't jump on questions straight away. Trust yourself, trust your good sense, your understanding of chapters. That will serve you very. And yes, another thing, very important. Every student who's attempting English should have a basic format, concept, idea, or application about how man is exploiting nature, how we disturbed nature, how nature needs a balance, how animals and every element of nature needs to be respected, and how it is a wake-up call for us. Because every poem and chapter I'm seeing, it is catering to that. There's a poem called Trees. There's a poem called Custard Dragon, Children Would Recognize. A lot of poems. Everywhere it is highlighting the war between man and nature. And nature is not at war. It is man whose
Hmm.
tendency to control and to exploit nature that is bringing the doomsday or apocalypse faster towards us. So if a child has this little basic, he can tackle all poems and the comparison, or probably when HOTS are higher order thinking questions are asked, he can put this. This is a very, I say, general, the most general concept that I'm finding everywhere, that he can put it. So
Hmm.
that a child should have, I feel, that how man is conducting himself towards fellow human beings or nature, and how materialistic he's going. So that general idea should be embedded in every student's mind. And yes, I told you that when you are attempting now, a lot of questions are asked which section to do first.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, students are in a dilemma. Again, I'll
Hmm.
say that it is your personal choice. But if you ask me, maximum marks are at stake in the literature section. And you're fresh,
Hmm.
you're gung-ho, and literature is something you know everything about because you've read. Throughout the year, you've been reading and attempting. So you are better placed. So if you start literature at one go, you cannot expect, oh, okay, I'm blank, I don't know. I can understand reading or somewhere, but not with literature. You already have a platform. So if you start attempting literature fresh, one thing, you're full of beans, you're energetic, so you do justice to your answer. Second, when you start attempting the creative answers of literature, so your mind gets warmed up, you're thinking, you're brainstorming, you're bringing creativity onto the paper. So the moment you've done, your mind is in second and third gear already. And with
Hmm.
that kind of porous mind, when you attempt writing letter or an analytical, so that serves you very much more better. You are in that gear. And now you've got a confidence, you've handled one section, you've handled half more. So it's just a little way ahead.
Hmm.
Then you start doing your grammar and come to reading, because at times reading section can be tricky and a child might lose his confidence because of that. But having said that, it is to each his own. During your practice, you may decide which way suits you better, but don't jumble up section A, two questions, and don't create a mess
Hmm.
on the writing copy. And yes, having said that, is there anything that I would like to tell that? Mm, yes, you've done this. You've attempted your paper. Yeah, from my side, I think That will be all. Though I'm thinking if anything again, do the numbering very correctly for the questions. I'm again saying, students, do the numbering correctly, make your presentation very neat, avoid random attempting of questions, and yes, don't sit too long on a question. Time yourself. Time yourself. You're on an answer, you're not getting certain things the way you want. Leave 4 lines, move to the next. Don't wait over there because there's no time for that. Okay, you leave lines, you may come back to it. And time yourself for each section. You've got 3 hours to attempt. 15 minutes have gone in reading. So now, time yourself for literature. Give yourself around 45 minutes and rest for revision. Go to the next. Give yourself another 40 minutes if you take. Then you have time towards the end to do things that probably didn't click at the first go. There's lot of space, there's lot of paper available. Leave lines and move to the next. Even if it's left blank, no problem. But don't sit and don't think that you've hit a speed breaker of sorts and you cannot go ahead. Please. So go in a flow, feel confident, enjoy attempting the paper. Never in life will this kind of a time come. And last 4 days before the exam, study only English. No other for the last 4 days. And attempt at least 2 sample papers from section A to section C at one go. Set a timer. You may exceed time limit on the first paper, no problem, but you should know how much you're exceeding. And you should know you have to tax yourself all 3 sections at one go. So 2 sample papers, last 4 days, only English. Be positive and give it your all with all the goodness and move only forward. Don't be dejected. Don't sit on things is what my advice would be.
So ma'am, in the last 4 days, of course, they will be practicing the question paper. But what before that? Like during these days, when they'll be studying English in parallel with other subjects. So at this point of time, also, do you suggest them to do practice papers or previous year question papers, or stick to revising the things and making the concept strong, or going through the parts that they feel that they might need more practice?
See, again, I would say it will be a very individualistic thing. If I'm taking an average student, then I would suggest that doing reading of chapters, like whatever, if some chapter, even if you've read and you feel there are concepts that are not really going into your head. So definitely 2 chapter and 1 poem reading daily. When you're writing your 2 comprehensive questions daily, you are again preparing for that. When you're doing your writing, these are daily things. You need not attempt the full paper, but in sections you are preparing for all the 3 things. So, like I said, 2 chapters, 1 poem daily.
Correct.
2 comprehensive questions daily. 2 writing skills daily. A reading passage to be able to attempt all kind of questions daily. And then from your chapter, vocabulary building, 5-10 words, make a glossary one side. Yeah. And grammar structures, consciously make effort to accommodate everything into that reading of the chapter. So this, and then beyond this, you may study your other subject, but definitely when you are at your energetic best, study English, because English is coming really.
And for other subjects, they would be getting the gap days also in between. So, but for English, like if they would delay, then there are no gap days to fall upon.
Exactly. And English plays its role. And, even later on, it will come very handy. So give it your best as of now is how I feel.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think it was very insightful. I myself enjoyed this session thoroughly. So I'm sure it is going to be pretty helpful for our students also. We would be putting the recording and the tips and tricks that ma'am has shared with us. We'll be consolidating them and putting a post on that as well. So right after this, I'll upload the video and I'll be putting the post in 1 or 2 days on our handle. So the students who have missed it or want to refresh or go through the tips again, they can just come to our handle and check it. Yeah. Thank you so much.